Part 191. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1901. Chapter 1901. She didn't intend to wrong herself. Zhang Luli's eyes flickered slightly when he heard MRSMO was there. MRSMO strongly opposed her and Mo Shixiu being together. But now, not only is she married to Mo Shixiu, but she is also pregnant. I don't know what MRSMO's reaction will be in a while. As if he guessed what she was thinking at this moment, Mo Shixiu turned his head and whispered in her ear, "Luoli, don't worry. I will always be by your side. If you feel uncomfortable staying here whenever you want to leave, we will leave." Zhang Luli looked up at him. After a moment, she nodded, yes. With Mo Shixiu's words, she felt really relaxed. She had no intention of wronging herself. If something really makes her uncomfortable by then, she can just leave as soon as possible. Asterisk. The old lady, Madam, Master, the eldest young master and the eldest young madam are back. Zhang Bo walked into the hall and said to several people sitting in the hall. Zhang Luli followed Mo Shixiu and saw the old lady and MRSMO sitting in the hall. There is also a man sitting in the hall. He is in his 40s, handsome and elegant, and has an extraordinary temperament. The man and MRSMO were sitting together. Zhang Luli took a look and knew that this man must be her father-in-law. Her father-in-law looked quite young, so young that Zhang Luli felt that many girls her age would also like men like her father-in-law. Mature, stable, charming, good-looking, and rich in gold. This kind of rich and handsome uncle is very attractive to little girls. Looking at his face, her father-in-law looked like an easy-to-get-together person, not as domineering as MRSMO. The old lady immediately noticed the change in Zhang Bo's title. She looked at Zhang Luli and then at Mo Shixiu. "Shixiu, you and Luoli are, you." Grandma Mo Shixiu put his arms around Zhang Luli and stepped forward. He turned his head, looked at Zhang Luli tenderly, and gently curled his lips and said, "Luoli and I got married. I brought her back today just because I wanted to. I told you this." The old lady has already guessed it. But after hearing what he said, I was still very happy. This is really a happy event. It's just that you kid didn't tell me earlier, so I could prepare a gift for Luoli earlier. Now that I'm telling you, I can't even think of what to give at this moment. There's no rush. Grandma Mo Shixiu curled his lower lip again. You can prepare the gift slowly. Luoli won't mind it? Well, Grandma, you don't need to give me any gifts. Zhang Luli smiled sweetly at the old lady. Grandma's blessing is enough. This is better than any gift. Zhang Luli, like Xiao Mian, is both sweet-tongued. They are all very good at making people happy. With just 2 words, she made the old lady very happy. The old lady said with a smile, "How can this happen? You don't mind, but Grandma does. I can't treat anyone wrong, but I can't treat my grandson-in-law wrong. Gifts must be prepared. After thinking about it, I prepared them according to my Mian's specifications and prepared the same ones for both of you sisters. Uncle Zhang, I will leave this matter to you. You should do it as soon as possible." "Yes, old lady." Hearing what the old lady said, Zhang Luli did not refuse any more. She had heard Xiao Mian say before that the Mo family had rules in this regard. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1902. Chapter 1902. The old lady is very happy. New brides-in-law prepare wedding gifts. MRSMO took it when she entered the house, and Xiao Mian also took it. Now that she is married to Mo Shixiu, it is impossible for her to be alone. Unless the Mahist family does not accept her. So the old lady said she would prepare a wedding gift for her, and Zhang Luli did not refuse. Any further refusal would show that she was not very sensible. "Grandma, I have another happy event to tell you. Mo Shixiu hugged Zhongluli and walked aside, asking her to sit down first. Zhongluli was still hesitant, so he held his shoulder and sat down. The old lady glanced at the two of them doubtfully. Is there any other happy event? What other happy event is there? Please tell Grandma quickly and don't betray her. Mo Shixiu chuckled lightly. Grandma, don't worry, I'll tell you right away. You will be a great grandmother soon. Are you happy about it? The old lady was stunned. Grandma. A few seconds later, the old lady opened her eyes wide, her eyes filled with joy, and she said with surprise and excitement, Luoli, do you have this girl Luoli? Well, Luoli is pregnant. Mo Shixiu nodded. This girl Luoli really has the blood of our Mo family. The old lady stood up excitedly. Uncle Zhang hurried over to support her. Old lady, be careful. You have just been discharged from the hospital, and the doctor said that your leg will need to be rehabilitated for a while. The old lady was very excited. I'm fine. Please help me over quickly. I want to see Luoli. There is no happy event more joyful than adding a new bloodline to the family. Especially in a family like the Mo family, where everything is lacking, there are not many things that can make the old lady happy. So the old lady was very happy when she heard that Zhongluli was pregnant. Once the child in Zhongluli's belly is born, it will be the old lady's first great-grandson. Can the old lady not pay attention to it? In the past, what she was most worried about was the lifelong events of her two grandsons. Now that these two worries have been resolved, and her two grandsons have successfully married, she began to look forward to when she would have a baby. The matter of the little great-grandson. Unfortunately, neither Mo Yesi nor Chiao Mian planned to have a child now. No matter how much the old lady wanted a great-grandchild, she could only wait patiently. I thought she would have to wait a few years before she had a great-grandson. Unexpectedly, her wish to have a great-grandson came true so quickly. Grandma, sit down and don't get up. Zhongluli stood up immediately when he saw the old lady walking towards her tremblingly. She walked towards the old lady. As soon as she walked up to the old lady, she was forced to sit down again. Girl Luoli, what are you doing up here? Sit down quickly, you are pregnant now. The old lady, like Mo Shixiu, was very nervous after hearing that she was pregnant. He pushed her to sit down and hurriedly asked the maid to get a soft cushion for her to put on her back. Moreover, the old lady was even more exaggerated than Mo Shixiu. Is the temperature in this room a little low, Uncle Zhang? Please quickly ask someone to turn up the air conditioner temperature, so as not to make the young lady cold. By the way, let someone go to the kitchen and explain. Don't make the dinner too greasy at night, and make some appetizers suitable for pregnant women. I remember that when I was pregnant, I especially liked to eat fried pickles. Go and ask the kitchen if there is anything like this. If not, go buy some right away. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1903. Chapter 1903 Key Protected Objects. Yes, old lady, I'll ask someone to do it right away. Uncle Zhang also had a happy face, and he immediately went to do it after receiving the task. The Mahist family added a new daughter. This is a happy event for everyone in the Mahist family. The old lady sat down next to Zhongluli, held her hand and said with excitement on her face, Girl Luoli, when was this found out? How old is the child now? Grandma, I checked out today. The doctor said that in 10 days, it will be almost 2 months. The person who answered was Mo Shixiu. Okay, okay, okay. The old lady cast her eyes with joy on Zhongluli's belly, which was still not visible at all, and said okay several times in succession. I am so happy that I don't even know what to say. Great, the old lady said excitedly again, pressed the back of Zhang Luli's hand hard, and said with joy in her eyes, "This is really great news. Shixiu, why don't you tell me earlier so that I can prepare well in advance? Luo Li is pregnant with a baby, so her taste must be different from ours. If you tell me earlier, the kitchen can prepare it earlier." "Grandma, Luo Li and I want to give you a surprise," Mo Shixiu said with a smile. "Surprise, very pleasant surprise," the old lady smiled. Her brows and eyes were filled with the kind of energy that makes people happy when happy events happen. "I just said that I saw a magpie flying towards my window sill this morning, and I was wondering if there was anything there. Something good is coming, it's really a happy event. Girl Luo Li is now the key protection target of our family. Shixiu, I think you are usually busy with work, so why not let girl Luo Li move to live with me? Your mother and I are usually free, which makes it easier to take care of her." Zhang Luli's face stiffened. She immediately raised her head to look at Mo Shixiu. Although the old lady had good intentions and was sincerely good to her, Zhang Luli was not willing to move to Mazai. She didn't even think about moving here. Let MRSMO take care of her? She was really afraid that MRSMO would take care of her child, so she would take care of her child. Even if she is pregnant with the blood of the Mo family. However, she was still worried about MRSMO. What's more, no matter how well the old lady can take care of her, she will still feel very uncomfortable if she is asked to live with them. Zhang Luli didn't want to move here, and Mo Shixiu certainly didn't want her to move here either. After receiving Zhang Luli's look for help, he gave her a becalm look, lowered his head and said to the old lady with a smile, "Grandma, Luo Li is my wife, I will naturally take good care of her. You, the old man, is not in good health and needs a good rest. How can I leave my own responsibilities to you? If I tire you out, Dad can't spare me. You don't have to worry that I can't take care of your grandson-in-law. I will adjust my work matters and spend more time with Luo Li in the future." The old lady said it in other words. Of course she also knew that it was impossible to really let Zhang Luli move here. The young couple were newly married, and it was a time when their feelings were strong. How could she separate them? It's good that you know. Although work is important, family is also very important. What Luo Li is carrying in her belly is your flesh and blood, so you have to take good care of her. Grandma, I know. Mom, this is a special time for Shixiu. MRSMO, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1904. Chapter 1904. Did she hear it right? I'm afraid it won't be good if you let him have some free time now. He can't relax at all now, so I'm afraid he won't be able to spare much time to spend with Luo Li. In my opinion, your suggestion just now is very good. Luo Li might as well move back home, and her family will take better care of her. We can take good care of her here, and Shixiu can concentrate on participating in the election. The old lady was stunned and looked at her in surprise. Mo Shixiu also had a bit of surprise on his face, as if he didn't expect MRSMO to agree to this. Even Zhang Luli felt very surprised and surprised. Did she hear it correctly? MRSMO actually said that she would move back to Mo's house and take care of her. Zhang Luli didn't think it was because she was pregnant. MRSMO immediately changed her mind and was willing to accept her. Because she didn't see any joy in MRSMO's eyes. MRSMO did not show any liking for the baby in her belly. Zhang Luli thought about it over and over, and finally felt that MRSMO was probably afraid that she would delay Mo Shixiu if she lived at Mo Shixiu's place. After all, Mo Shixiu's current situation is indeed an extraordinary period. MRSMO will definitely not allow him to make any mistakes in the election. The old lady looked at MRSMO in surprise and confusion for a while, then asked, "Wenpei, let the girl Luo Li move here. Are you willing to take care of her food and daily life during pregnancy? Of course. MRSMO smiled at the old lady and said in a gentle voice, the baby in Luoli's belly is also my future grandson. As a mother-in-law, I should take care of her. When I was pregnant with Shisiu and ACI, didn't my mother take great care of me? The old lady was stunned again after hearing her words. She looked at MRSMO thoughtfully for a few seconds, then nodded, with a satisfied look on her face. For the old lady, family and harmony are more important than anything else. She knew that MRSMO didn't like Zhongluli and had tried to persuade her, but at that time MRSMO didn't listen to her at all. MRSMO is now willing to accept Zhongluli, and the old lady is naturally very happy. She thought that MRSMO probably knew that Zhongluli was pregnant, so she didn't want to bother with it, so she accepted her daughter-in-law. No matter what she thinks, the old lady is happy to see her family in harmony. If MRSMO is willing to accept Zhongluli, this is of course a good thing. It's good that you think so, the old lady said with a smile. It's also good that you have this intention. But we still don't want to break up the young couple Luoli and Shisiu. How can these young people get used to talking to us? It would be more comfortable for them to live together. But, Mom, Shisiu is not a child anymore. I believe he can balance work and family. Wenpei, you should be more confident in your son's abilities. If you take more time to go home and take care of your wife and children, you can have an impact on him. Work, it only means that he is not capable enough. MRSMO's face stiffened, her lips moved, and she wanted to say something. Well, Grandma, Luoli won't move back. Mo Shixiu rejected the matter directly before MRSMO could say anything. She will live with me. I have Sister Lin over there, and her you all should know her abilities, so I have nothing to worry about with her taking care of Luoli. And I also found a few nutritionists, and asked them to take care of Luoli with Sister Lin. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1905. Chapter 1905, Endure the Temporary Anger. Well, Sister Lin is still reliable, the old lady nodded. Then you ask Sister Lin to take good care of her. I will. After Mo Shixiu helped reject the old lady's proposal, Zhongluli secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It would not be a good idea for her to refuse this matter. It was only Mo Shixiu who refused. Fortunately, Mo Shixiu knew that she was unwilling to move here, so he refused directly. I don't know if Zhongluli is thinking too much. She felt that after Mo Shixiu refused to let her move here, MRSMO seemed unhappy. This made Zhongluli feel very strange. She did not believe that MRSMO would really want to take care of her. Luoli, come here and say hello to Dad. Mo Shixiu stretched out a hand towards Zhongluli, pulled her up and walked to Mo Yunshan. Dad, this is the Luoli I told you about. Mo Shixiu took Zhongluli's hand, turned to her and said, Luoli, call me Dad. Zhongluli met Mo Yunshan's gentle gaze, pursed his lips, and called out a little embarrassedly, Dad. In her opinion, Mo Yunshan is still very young, and he is still the kind of charming mature man who can make little girls' hearts flutter. She felt a little uncomfortable calling such a handsome uncle Daddy. Mo Yunshan looked at Zhongluli and nodded, with a gentle expression on his face, and he had no dissatisfaction with his daughter-in-law. Unlike MRSMO, he regarded family status as very important. Like his two sons, he likes to work his own ability and takes relatively lightly on things like strong marriages. He agreed to marry MRSMO back then, not only because he was very filial and willing to obey his parents' arrangements, but also because he quite liked MRSMO. So he readily accepted the marriage. But if he already had someone he liked at that time, he would not accept the marriage obediently. He himself takes things very lightly, and of course he will not hold his two sons to those standards. Mo Yunshan took out the gift he had prepared early in the morning and handed it over. He covered his lips and coughed lightly and said, "Loli, this is a gift I prepared. Please accept it." Zhang Luli hesitated for a moment. "You can accept what Dad gave it to you." Mo Shixio nodded to her, "This is their respect as elders. Only if you accept it will they be happy." Hearing what he said, Zhang Luli didn't hesitate anymore and reached out to take the box. After receiving the gift, she said obediently, "Thank you, Dad. Is it time to eat?" Girl Loli must be hungry, right? The old lady was now focused on Zhang Luli. She looked at the time and immediately called a maid over, "Go and ask what's going on in the kitchen, that's it?" "Yes. Girl Loli, we can't go hungry now." The old lady looked at Zhang Luli's belly with a nervous look, "From now on, we have to take good care of her. This way, the children born in the future will, that's why I'll be fat in vain." Mrsmo saw displeasure flashing in her eyes when the old lady cared so little about Zhang Luli. She took a deep breath, thinking of what Tanya had said to her before, and suppressed the unpleasant feeling in her heart. No matter how dissatisfied she is with Zhang Luli now, she can no longer show it. Hold up her anger for a while, and wait until her plan is implemented smoothly, and she will never have to see this annoying woman again. She thought so, and a smile appeared on her face. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1906. Chapter 1906. I want to shake hands with her and make peace with her. Yes, Loli can't be hungry now. If the kitchen hasn't cooked yet, just eat the bird's nest stewed for me first. Bird's nest is nourishing and is most suitable for pregnant women. As she spoke, she called a maid, asked someone to go to the kitchen and bring out the stewed bird's nest. That bird's nest is a beauty product that Mrsmo eats every day. Her move made the old lady even more satisfied. The old lady looked at her with admiration in her eyes. Since when Pei wants to love his daughter-in-law, then go and bring out her bird's nest. Eating bird's nest is indeed good for pregnant women. I used to eat bird's nest when I was pregnant. My skin was very good when I was born, white and tender. My skin was also very good during pregnancy, so I have to eat all these nourishing things. I still have a batch of high-quality bird's nests there. When you go back, take them back to Loli to eat." Zhang Luli said hurriedly, "Thank you, Grandma." He hesitated for a moment, then looked at Mrsmo and said, "Thank you, Mom." Mrsmo looked at her with a gentle smile, "We are all a family, why are you so polite?" "Loli, Mom had some misunderstandings about you before and did some not very good things. That's all because Mom was confused. Now that Mom knows that I misunderstood you, can you forgive me? From now on, Mom will never be confused and make you suffer again." Mrsmo said, stood up and walked to Zhang Luli, reaching out to hold Zhang Luli's hand. Zhang Luli was stunned for a moment, and when Mrsmo reached out, she calmly held Mo Shixio's arm. Mrsmo's hand was awkwardly stretched out in the air. The expression on her face was stiff for a few seconds, and then she took her hand back as if nothing had happened. Tonight, Mrsmo's various behaviors made Zhang Luli feel strange. It seemed that Mrsmo really realized that she had misunderstood her before and wanted to shake hands with her and make peace with her. But a woman's intuition made Zhang Luli feel that Mrsmo didn't really want to make peace with her. Because Zhang Luli could feel it, Mrsmo still didn't like her. Even though she pretended to be friendly, she seemed to really accept her as her daughter-in-law. But whether she really accepted it or was just pretending, Zhang Luli could tell. Obviously, Mrsmo is still dissatisfied with her. But her behavior tonight will only make people think that she is a good mother-in-law who loves her daughter-in-law. Zhang Luli didn't know if she was just acting for Mo Shixio and the old lady to see, but if it was acting, she could also act. MRSMO pretends to be a good mother-in-law. She can of course pretend to be a good daughter-in-law. So, she smiled sweetly and said, "Mom, where did you say it was? I have never been really angry with you, so how can I forgive you for saying this?" MRSMO's face stiffened. Zhang Luli smiled again and said, "Besides, I don't feel wronged. Shi Xiu is very good to me. I feel very happy every day when I am with him. Speaking of which, I also want to thank my mother. Thank you for giving birth to me. Such an excellent son gave me such an excellent husband." After Zhang Luli finished speaking, he felt that the expression on MRSMO's face seemed to become stiffer. At this time, the maid came over and said that dinner was ready. The old lady called to everyone, "Let's go eat first. If you have anything to do, we'll talk about it later. Don't starve Luoli." The old lady never left Zhang Luli's side. Seeing that the old lady paid so much attention to her, MRSMO became irritable. She must get Zhang Luli away as soon as possible. Otherwise, the longer it takes, the more difficult it will be. Asterisk. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1907. Chapter 1907. Mr. M.O., this is too scary. Early the next morning, M.O. Yessi sent Xiaomi and Mian to the airport, and waited until her flight left before returning to Yunqing. Wei Zheng picked him up at the airport. After getting off the plane, Wei Zheng had just received someone and was about to report yesterday's work when he heard M.O. Yessi ask, "What's going on at Shangwen's house now? Have you done what I asked you to do?" Wei Zheng was stunned for a moment. He followed M.O. Yessi in small steps, and then immediately replied, "We have followed President Mo's wishes and cut off several cooperation deals between the Shangguan family and other companies." Let the word go out again. M.O. Yessi narrowed his eyes, and a chill filled his body. In the future, any companies that have cooperated with the Shangguan family will no longer cooperate with the M.O. Yessi family. Wei Zheng was stunned again, with a look of surprise on his face. He probably knew why Mr. M.O. wanted to target the Shangguan family. Several previous cooperations were suddenly cancelled because of the young lady. Later, Mr. M.O. asked him to cut off several important cooperation between Shangguan family and other companies. Wei Zheng felt that Mr. M.O. was still angry, and he could understand such an approach. But now, Wei Zheng felt that things were not as simple as he thought. Mr. Mo's approach is equivalent to cutting off all possibilities for the Shangguan family to gain a foothold in Yunqing. Although the Shangguan family is also powerful, Yunqing belongs to the Mahist family after all, and the Mahist family has the final say. If the Shangguan family wanted to establish a foothold in Yunqing and develop, M.O. Yessi's words just now were equivalent to a direct death sentence for the Shangguan family. Wei Zheng felt that even if Shang Guanqing had offended the young lady before, Mr. M.O. would not be allowed to make such a decision. Could it be that there is something else he doesn't know? He was stunned for a few seconds before nodding, "Yes, Mr. M.O., I will explain it." But what? M.O. Yessi's voice was cold and unusual. Wei Zheng reached out and rubbed the back of his hands. He felt that the temperature of the central air conditioner in the airport lobby was a little too low. Why is it so cold today? It was so cold that he had goosebumps all over his body. He glanced at M.O. Yessi's face and replied cautiously, "Mr. M.O., the Gong family and the Shangguan family also cooperate. And the two families also intend to marry. If the Gong family doesn't cooperate, then all business dealings with the palace family will be cut off from now on. Answer without hesitation." Wei Zheng was stunned for a moment, with a look of surprise on his face. "Mr. M.O., really, is this really necessary? The Gong family and the M.O. family have cooperated for so many years, and you and Mr. Gong are also very good friends. Is this?" Seeing M.O. Yessi's face darken, Wei Zheng's voice became softer and softer, and he didn't dare to say the second half of the sentence. He wanted to say whether it was inappropriate to do so. In order to deal with the Shangguan family, it seems that there is no need to have a quarrel with the Gong family. Even if the cooperation with the Gong family is lost, it will not have a big impact on the Mo family. However, the friendship between the Gong family and the Mo family for so many years has really made things like this happen. Especially for a Shangguan family, it is even more unnecessary. Did you not hear what I said clearly? Mo Yesi turned his head, his eyes were not warm. Do you need me to repeat it to you? No, no need. Wei Zheng waved his hand quickly and said knowingly, I understand what Mr. Mo means. Oh my God, Mr. Mo, this must be too scary. Why did he go to Ningcheng and become so terrible when he came back? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1908. Chapter 1908. Kill Shangguan family to death. Could it be that he was angry with the young lady? But that's not right either. If he was angry at the young lady, there was no need to target the Shangguan family like this when he came back. Even to the point where he no longer cares about his relationship with the Gong family. Wei Zheng became more and more curious. What happened to Mr. Mo? No, it should be said that what on earth did the Shangguan family do to make Mr. Mo so angry? As soon as they come back, they will kill all the Shangguan family. Furthermore, Wei Zheng vaguely felt that the reason why Mr. Mo was so angry had something to do with the Gong family. When he said he would cut off business ties with the Gong family, he didn't hesitate at all. If the Gong family hadn't done something that made him unhappy, he wouldn't be like this. Out of the airport. The driver was waiting outside. When he saw them coming out, he hurriedly stepped forward and called out respectfully, Mr. Mo. Mo Yesi got into the car expressionlessly. After getting in the car, Wei Zheng originally thought he would go directly to the company or go home, but he didn't expect that Mo Yesi told the driver, go to Gong's house. Yes, Mr. Mo. Wei Zheng sat in the passenger seat and looked at Mo Yesi in the rearview mirror, feeling more and more that this matter was not simple. He might have guessed correctly just now. The Gong family might have done something to make Mr. Mo unhappy. And this matter may be a bit serious. Otherwise, Mr. Mo would not have gotten off the plane and rushed to the Gong family. Wei Zheng thought of the scandals between Xiao Mian and Gong Zili, and a lot of speculations came to his mind. He looked at Mo Yesi's gloomy face in the rearview mirror again, feeling a little worried. No matter how you look at it, it seems that Mr. Mo is suppressing his temper and is about to explode soon. Moreover, once it breaks out, it will definitely be scary. If President Mo gets into trouble with the Gong family, will he go up to persuade them? Asterisk. Arrived at Gong's house. When the maid informed the palace lady that Mo Yesi was here, the palace lady who was cutting flowers shook her hand and almost cut her hand. She raised her head and was stunned for a while before asking, Mo Yesi is here? What is he here for? The maid shook her head. Mr. Mo didn't say anything. He only said that he wanted to see Madam if he had something to do. After hearing this, Mrs. Gong's expression changed again. She put down the scissors and the bouquet of flowers in her hand, and the maid hurried over and helped her up. Mrs. Gong's face was not very good. Mo Yesi had never visited her alone, and her interactions with this junior only included a few words occasionally at some banquets. Other than that, there was no other communication in private. It can be done now. Mo Yesi suddenly came to the Gong family and said he wanted to find her. There must be something going on when he comes here. And if it was not a very important matter, he would not come in person. Thinking of something, Madame Gong's face became even worse, and she suddenly felt a little panicked. She asked the maid, when you looked at him just now, what did you think of his face? The maid replied truthfully, I see that Mr. Mo is not very happy and his face is not very good. Mrs. Gong bit her lip. After hesitating for a few seconds, she said, "Please let him come in." "Yes, ma'am." While waiting, the palace lady was very uneasy. She roughly guessed why Moyesi was looking for her, but she was hoping for some luck, thinking that Moyesi wouldn't be able to find out so easily. After a while, the palace lady heard footsteps. "Madam, Mr. Mo is here." The maid led Moyesi into the hall. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1909. Chapter 1909. I must settle this account. Mrs. Gong raised her head and was shocked when she saw that the handsome face of the young man in front of her had no expression at all, and his eyes were looking at her as if they were covered in ice. This was not the first time she saw Moyesi. With a cold and indifferent look on his face before, he was still polite and not as aggressive and cold as he is now. Even in her own home, Madame Palace instantly felt at a loss. "Yes, are you here to see Zili?" Mrs. Gong took a deep breath, forced herself to calm down, and pretended to be calm. "Unfortunately, Zili has not been at home these days." Moyesi stared at Mrs. Gong for a few seconds with cold eyes, and said in a cold voice, "Aunt Gong, I'm here to find you." Mrs. Gong was shocked again, and her heart skipped a beat. She tried her best to calm down her emotions and said, but her eyes flickered, "You're looking for me? Are you looking for me for something?" "Yes, please sit down first. Let's talk about anything slowly." Madame Palace called the maid on the side. "Why don't you hurry up and make a cup of tea for young Master Mo? Why are you just standing there?" "Aunt Gong, it's no need." Moyesi narrowed his deep eyes when he looked at Mrs. Gong's eyes that were obviously a little distracted, and asked directly without any politeness, "I'm here to ask Aunt Gong one thing. I want to know how my wife Chiao Mian offended Aunt Gong, so that Aunt Gong would let someone do that to her." "What, Chiao Mian is your wife?" Madame Gong's expression changed drastically. "You and her, are you married?" Mrs. Gong had a very shocked expression on her face. Moyesi looked at her with cold eyes and said, "Before Aunt Gong asks someone to deal with my wife, didn't she find out her background? The Bai family's precious daughter, my Moyesi's precious wife, was almost destroyed in the palace. Aunt Gong is in charge. Is Aunt Gong doing this to make the Mo family and the Bai family a common enemy?" Before Mrs. Gong could recover from the shock of Chiao Mian marrying Moyesi, she was suddenly shocked by the fact that Chiao Mian was the daughter of the Bai family. She had a frightened expression on her face and said in disbelief, "What did you say? Chiao Mian is the daughter of the Bai family? The Bai family has been looking for?" "Yes, she is the daughter that the Bai family has been looking for. My father-in-law and mother-in-law finally found their precious daughter, but they gave it to Aunt Gong to trample on like this. I, Moyesi, hold the treasure that I love in my hands. I usually can't even bear to talk to her loudly. Is it because Aunt Gong tramples on her like this?" Mrs. Gong was so shocked that she couldn't say a word. She had naturally asked people to inquire before, and found out that Chiao Mian had no background, so she dared to ask people to do that. If she had known early on that Chiao Mian had married Moyesi and was the daughter of the Bai family, she would have done this unless her brain was broken. "No, Yesi. There must be a misunderstanding about this matter." Mrs. Gong hurriedly explained, "I didn't know she was married to you. If I had known earlier." "You don't know, so you can let someone do that to her." Moyesi's eyes became colder. "I don't care if there is any misunderstanding, I only care about the results. Madame Gong, what you did is very important to me. My wife has caused a lot of harm, and I have to settle this account." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance lightly. Chapter 1910. Chapter 1910 Undisguised Murderous Intent. Then, what do you want? Mrs. Gong was frightened by Mo Yesie's evil aura and took a step back, with fear in her eyes. Yes, I asked people to do that thing. But didn't she hide away and wasn't violated? Besides, I didn't ask that person to actually take action at that time. I just wanted to scare her. If it weren't for her repeated scandals with Zi Li, which made me mistakenly think that she was some kind of dishonest woman, would I have done that? You said she married you, but why didn't your marriage be made public? If you don't make it public, who can know that you are married? Mrs. Gong was panicked and scared at first, but as Mo Yesie gradually aroused her anger, her attitude became tougher. She said confidently, if you don't tell me, how would I know? She is obviously married, but she is still unmarried to the outside world. If she had not done this to make others misunderstood, those things would not have happened. Yasi, I think you should pay more attention to it. Why does your wife always have scandals with other men? It doesn't matter if she has scandals with one person, but she really has scandals with so many people. No problem at all. As soon as Mrs. Gong finished speaking, she felt like she was frozen. It was extremely cold. As soon as she raised her head, she met a pair of murderous eyes. That's right, it's murderous. This is the first time Madame Palace has seen such a terrifying Mo Yesie. There was no expression on his face, his eyes were cold and scary, and his whole person had a terrifying aura of a storm coming. His eyes were sinister and fierce, and there was murderous intent in his eyes. That unabashed murderous intent frightened the palace lady. She was so frightened that she took 2 steps back, her eyes full of horror. I heard another pop sound. Mrs. Gong screamed and saw Mo Yesie kicking over the coffee table, and the things on the coffee table fell to the floor. Several maids standing in the hall were also frightened and turned pale. Mrs. Gong's face was full of panic, her face turned pale with fright. Mo Yesie, what are you doing? Mo Yesie kicked over the coffee table and raised his head. His handsome face, as cold as water could drip, was full of violence. Mrs. Gong, my wife has a good character. She is not a bad woman. I see you are an elder, so I didn't take action against you. But if you slander my wife again and say anything that insults her, don't blame me for not showing mercy to you. I, Mo Yesie's wife, cannot be bullied by anyone. I will settle this account with your Gong family. After Mo Yesie said this, he kicked away a vase at his feet. With a bang sound, the flying vase hit the wall and was smashed to pieces. Mrs. Gong was so frightened that she screamed again. Mo Yesie didn't look at Mrs. Gong again, turned around and left the Gong family. Wait until he leaves. Mrs. Gong, who had been holding on, was so frightened that her legs became weak and she fell to the ground. Madame the maid quickly ran to her side and helped her up. Mrs. Palace's legs are still weak and she can't use any strength. She has been pampered since she was a child. She has lived a life of wealth and privilege without any setbacks for most of her life. Everyone around her is polite to her. She has never been treated so violently. End of this chapter.